to market on close. Shares of NBIS Group are up 15% today after announcing a $2 billion investment from Nvidia. The company's announced a strategic partnership this morning that will have them working together on the deployment of artificial intelligence infrastructure. NBIS says it's targeting deployment of 5 gigawatts of Nvidia systems by the end of 2030. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang saying, quote, NBIS is building an AI cloud designed for the agentic era, fully integrated from silicon to software and powered by Nvidia's next generation accelerated compute. Of course, that means NBIS is the focus for Options Corner today. Joining us, Rick Ducat, our lead market technician. Yeah, and interestingly, as we look at NBIS and its own technical setup, some familiar names here on this chart. Oracle, we've been talking about a lot today, looking at NBIS significantly outperforming Oracle. But as we look at the technical setup here, for NBIS, what has the technical been like, as it has been such an outperformer of the more broad sector? And also, Rick, I'm hoping you'll share with our viewers, we were talking off camera about you've discovered the reasoning behind NBIS's name, and I always like to share things that are interesting, so I'm hoping you'll share that with everyone.
Sure. NBIS, Latin nebula for cloud, plus Mobius strip, which if you take a strip of paper, fold it 180 degrees, put the ends together, it makes this very unusual kind of one-sided shape representing infinity. So the infinite possibilities of the cloud. And when we look here, there's definitely some possibilities for the upside as well. Here you can see that we had this notable supportive area marking some old highs here. We had our gap up, and then we've tested this area a couple more times since then. So between about 74 to 76, this is a pretty significant low point. So the gap got filled, but we didn't really make any kind of downside progress below that important point. So now we are starting to get more of a bounce here. Our downward sloping blue trend line beginning with our highs has been pretty convincingly broken, it looks like here. Obviously, I guess we have to wait for the close, but it seems like we are on pace for not only a push above that trend line, but also above these relative highs near 110. So a pretty notable development here for this price breakout. Look toward 122, 121, around that area. That represents another notable high point that the bulls would want to clear. So now when we look at our moving averages, we had a situation where many of them were clustered together, speaking to kind of lack of directionality, sideways trend. Now we have pushed above them all with some vigor here. Most of them come together around 95 to 100 or so. So this gives us another downside confluence to be on the lookout for. RSI, our measure of momentum, broke above not only its downward sloping trend line, but also the 50 midline here. So price and RSI making new relative highs together is what you would want to see if you had more of a bullish outlook in this name. Those are kind of confirmatory tandem signals there. So also we have our volume profile study here finally. So we have pushed above this heavy trading area for the most part here, roughly between like 85 to 100. The next area that the bulls may have their sights set on is up here, 123 to 129, kind of this little pocket of activity, and then things start to thin out above that.
Yeah, and even with this 15+% move to the upside, we are below that next area. We're about 111 right now for NBIS. But whenever we see this sort of Nvidia effect of announcing the partnership and the move to the upside, we'll oftentimes see an uptick in the options action. Did we see that for NBIS today?
Yes, for sure. Today we saw a sizzle of 3.58 versus the 5-day moving average of options volume. So a heavy day here. That translates to over 200,000 options changing hands today. We can see as well that the most active open interest month is actually January 2027, the January 15th monthly here. But second would be our March 20th monthly expiration that's coming up in a couple of weeks here. One notable trade that I saw, plus 1,350 June 18th 150 strike calls at a 10:30 debit, a $1.39 million debit paid here. Not clear if it was an opening or a closing trade, though.
All right. Well, Rick, we appreciate you taking a closer look at NBIS for us on the announcement of that deal with Nvidia, that investment, that $2 billion investment. I want to thank Rick Ducat, our lead market technician, for breaking all of that down for us.